On your computer, on your Wi-Fi radio, on your iPhone. Commercial-free original talk. Only on LA Talk Radio. Your favorite talk station.
You're listening to Talk to Brazil with Tom Reaoch, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Talk to Brazil, the world's first English-language internet radio program about business in Brazil. I'm Tom Reaoch, and your host for the show. When you talk to Tom, you talk to Brazil and the world. Talk to Brazil is a weekly talk radio program on LA Talk Radio, where interviewees and business partners come together to talk about business. Founded in 2009, we have interviewed hundreds of professionals and have shared their views regarding business, business culture, corporate training, executive development, and a global economy. Our audience is made up of listeners from all over the world, mainly the U.S., Canada, Great Britain, India, China, as well as Brazil. Today's program is brought to us by Focus MI Marketing Intelligence, and Focus MI specializes in market research in the agribusiness sector and the heavy earth-moving equipment sector in Brazil. For more information about Focus MI, you can check their site, which is focusmi.com. And also by Spin Tours, that's business tourism by Eliana Souza. And Eliana is a specialist in inbound visits to Brazil by high-level business executives. Spin Tours is where Eliana has your safety as her top priority for a successful business visit to Brazil. For more about Spin Tours, check their site, which is spintours.com.br. Today's guest is Rodrigo Forte, and he's the managing director of EZEC, Executive Performance in Brazil. Rodrigo Forte is a lawyer. He graduated from the Catholic University in São Paulo, and also postgraduate study in business administration from Getúlio Vargas in São Paulo. His career was developed in law firms and in a worldwide multinational company leader of the recruitment and selection sector, which was Michael Page International. There he was a director and member of the board in Brazil. Rodrigo Forte is founding member of EXEC, and Executive Performance, where he was one of the first executives to work with specialized recruitment in Brazil. He has more than 13 years of human resource experience and having evaluated over 8,000 executives here. Also, Rodrigo works with executive coaching and human and organization development projects. With offices in São Paulo and Campinas, EZEC was established in 2009 through the concept of a boutique and offers services in the areas of recruitment and selection, executive development for middle and top management. EZEC is also a member of the Association of Executive Search Consultants, which is the leading global association of consulting firms in executive search and leadership development. AESC was founded in 1959 and has its headquarters in New York. Rodrigo and I first met several years ago through the American Chamber of Commerce here in Campinas. We were both members of the Business Affairs Committee. So with that, Rodrigo, thank you and welcome to Talk to Brazil.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Thomas.
No, it's a pleasure. We've met over the years. We talk in different committees. Things are always happening in Brazil, going up, going down, going somewhere. But one of the things that are always on the front list of companies and executives is exactly that, search and recruitment of executives, and you're the specialist. So my first question to you is, after interviewing more than 8,000 executives, are executives all different or are some of them the same?
This is a good point. I would say each person is different comparing to others. But of course, we can find people in some groups, especially in regards of the disciplines they work. People from finance, people from marketing, sales, etc. And it's interesting when we evaluate people from companies of different cultures. We can see, of course, the characteristics of each company the person was formed along his or her career.
Mm-hmm.
But every time is a challenge to evaluate a person and understand in 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, what this person can, how this person can make the difference for the next company.
Right. That's a challenge. It's, I guess interviewing is an art and also a science, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We have to study a lot. And, of course, according to the experience we are gaining, we develop a feeling. Of course, there is a lot of technique, but there is experience also.
And you've had that, I'm sure. So with that, and you mentioned the different cultures, Brazil, for a great part, and many of the companies here are tied to either U.S. or North American companies, Canadian or Mexican, or European of many different nationalities, and also a strong tie to the different countries in Asia. Isn't that a challenge for you if you receive requests from all these different cultures and to try to find a fit for them?
Yes, I would say this cultural fit is the most difficult aspect we have to face in our job. We have the experience in Brazil to work with American companies and European companies mostly. And I would say that now we are learning how to work with Asian companies that are coming to Brazil in the last few years. We work for some of them, and it's very interesting how they do their jobs.
And they're all
they are coming very strongly to Brazil.
Yeah, there's a lot of investment right now from Koreans. The Japanese have always been strong. A lot of Chinese, also from India. So we see all kinds of activities here. From your point of view, who is your client today? Your client is it a corporation? Is it a Brazilian company? Are these multinationals? What type of client do you normally have?
Yeah. We have clients of different sectors, different multinationalities, different sizes, but mainly we work for large-sized multinational organizations and big Brazilian groups. This is the style of the client we deal every day.
So then normally you'll get a briefing of what they expect or the type of person or professional they're looking for, and you take it from there. Yes,
it changes a lot considering the culture and the multinationality of the nationality of our client. Yes.
And we were talking when we were trying to set up this interview. It was a couple of weeks ago. You said you were very busy. You had a crazy week. The beginning of the year, is that a stronger point for you in terms of the searching and the recruitment? Is that the high season, or is there a season for recruiting in Brazil?
Sorry, Tom. The call isn't very good at this moment. Can you repeat for me, please?
I would say when we talked a couple of weeks ago trying to set up this interview, you said you were working very hard. Things were pretty crazy for you, a lot of activity. Is the beginning of the year in Brazil typically the strongest part of your work of looking and searching and working on recruitment, or is there surges in recruitment throughout the year?
Oh yeah. Normally December and January are not very good months for our sector. But this year, this point has been different because we had a very strong demand. It started in December, and our feeling is that the companies are trying to anticipate their needs because of the World Cup and the elections that we are going to face this year in Brazil. That's why we are very busy running lots of new projects for our clients.
So you mentioned the World Cup. What impact, obviously the World Cup has an impact on business, but how does that impact you specifically in terms of searching and recruiting?
Yeah. It's going to be a first experience for us, and we've been discussing with our clients the real impacts. But the major concern is the fact we are going to have lots of holidays. Mm-hmm. What in some way spoil the planning of this period, the activities of this period. And normally the selection process tends to be suspended in this kind of period. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're trying to anticipate as much as we can in order to have the positions closed until the beginning of the World Cup.
Well, for our listeners, just as an explanation, what Rodrigo is referring to is a lot of holidays in Brazil. The World Cup, there will be games and matches in 12 different cities throughout the country. And what has been decided by the government that each of these cities, the day of a match will be a holiday. Obviously, facilitate transportation, what have you. So as you multiply the number of matches by the number of cities, that certainly becomes complicated.
Yes, and as far as I know, there's not a formal definition from the São Paulo government in regards to the holidays related to the matches. So we are still waiting to plan our activities.
But even, experience has shown me in my years here in Brazil that whether the government declares a holiday or not, obviously when Brazil is playing, nobody works.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Everybody's waiting for the matches to avoid working.
That's it. Even most companies, they have to plan, some type of activity, because if you expect your company to be in activity during a game, it's very difficult. Everybody wants to watch it on television. Today they'll be watching it on their cell phone or on their tablet or anything today. So it's really going to be different this time around.
Yeah, I hope we have lots of fun with this World Cup, and we can keep the jobs ongoing.
Well, you also mentioned the elections, and one of the things that I've seen in also different meetings that I've been with executives, and their concern is obviously the effects of the elections on Brazil, on the economy. And I've seen really two sides. Some companies are taking a more conservative view that say we want to wait till the election's over to see if we decide to invest more, to expand. Others see opportunities right now and are going ahead with that. How would you feel about that?
Yeah. We still don't know the real impacts of the elections for this year, but we've been seeing our clients much more conservative in this year. Of course, they keep searching for candidates to fulfill positions because they cannot stop their activities. But we don't see the companies investing a lot in this year to grow the companies, to grow industrial lines. We don't see significant investments this year because the companies prefer to wait a concrete scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been working on not mostly new positions, but we've been working mostly in replacements.
Okay.
Because of course the natural turnover of the market, and because the companies are trying to increase their performances. I would say because the Brazilian, considering the multinational organizations, the Brazilian operation is one of the most important ones considering the global scenario. For most of the companies, I would say that Brazil means the top 5 profitable operations worldwide. So they are trying to increase their performances to guarantee the best profit in Brazil, especially to compensate the bad performances that the companies are having in the mature countries. Even though U.S. is getting better, but Europe we don't have very good signs of a retake in Europe. That's why Brazil is very important at this moment, and the companies are trying to do the best here.
That's a good point, because what I've seen, I'm also a member here in Campinas of an expat group called Internations. And Internations has an expat community here in Campinas. And last month, the month of January, actually, we have monthly get-togethers. And I was surprised in January there were over 50 people at this get-together we had. And obviously 50 executives from different nationalities, different multinational companies. And first of all, it surprised me to get so many people together in January. But what also surprised me that there's a continual influx of foreign executives and expats coming to Brazil. Do you see that? Is that a reflection of what you said, that maybe the European market is softer and they're sending executives to here, or is there a demand for expats to come? How do you see that?
Yeah. Even though we are not growing so much, the economy is not growing so much in Brazil, we still have a very low unemployed rate of about 5%. Mm-hmm. So I would say we still have a problem in regards of people to fulfill positions in all levels of a organization. Mm-hmm. If you go to the executive level, which is the one we work for managerial positions, we have this problem. When we do search, we always have some difficulties because most of the people, the good people, are working. So one of the alternatives is really bring people from other countries, especially from the U.S. and Europe. Mm-hmm. And what is very interesting is that our clients are saying that even if you have to pay the change of these people to Brazil, home, school of the children, and all the expenses related to an expatriation, it's positive. It's really positive to bring people because the salaries, the remuneration of the Brazilian executive is one of the most expensive worldwide.
That's true.
So this is really an alternative. Of course, it's easier when a multinational organization does this with its internal employee, because it's not so simple when a organization wants to search people abroad and search from other companies and bring bring these people to Brazil, because of course we have problems with the visa. We have sometimes the adaptation of these people to the Brazilian culture. We have the problem of the language. But even with these difficulties, it's an alternative indeed.
Now, you mentioned when you mentioned turnover, and much of what you were doing was replacement because of the turnover. That's a point you brought up. Part of the turnover is the fact that executives leave for other employment in Brazil, and actually have been inflating the salary levels, like you mentioned. So there is a lot of change with executives from one company to another, isn't there? Yes, Tom. And that seems to be different when I speak to persons and executives in the United States or Europe, and as you mentioned, they're in different cycles of the return of their economy. They find that hard to understand that this is happening in Brazil. They say, well, there's almost full employment at the executive level, and I have to say, yes, it is. And as you mentioned, it's sometimes difficult to find people.
Tom, could you repeat, because the call isn't good again?
No, what I was mentioning is that because of this turnover, when I speak to persons in the United States or Europe, sometimes it's hard for them to understand that Brazil is in full employment at the executive level.
Yes.
And when we tell them that, it's very difficult to find executives, as you just mentioned.
Yes.
Part of that, you also mentioned language. How difficult is it? Because obviously you need to find, specifically for the multinational clients that you have, you also need to find a candidate who needs, besides this technical competency, he needs to speak a second language or maybe a third language. Is that difficult here?
I would say that the technical skills are not the most difficult side of a recruitment process. Which is indeed difficult is to find people with personal skills able to really make the difference to the companies are hiring them, and of course the companies that have this kind of profile are doing lots of efforts in order to retain these professionals. So when you find a good one and you are interested in hiring him or her, you have to pay normally 20, 30, 40% increase salary to these professionals, which is not so easy to the companies that are trying to avoid, the increase of costs. So this is a difficult equation for us all the time.
Because what you're saying, then sometimes you find the prime candidate, but when you get to the economics of that switch, the company unfortunately can't accept that the person you're recruiting because of the cost level.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also the cost.
Yeah.
That generates problems within the company as well. For the other employees,
yes, of course.
You have to be very, very careful in that type of a switch.
Yes, because this person are going to have peers, and then we have to respect the position of them. So that's why it's been difficult for us. Of course, we have the chance to find very good people in Brazil, especially in the executive level. If we compare Brazilians to other nationalities, we have very good people here, but we have few comparing to the need of the companies nowadays. And I joke that the positive side of not growing the economy so much is this, but I don't know, because I don't know how would be Brazil if we were growing, 5 or 6 or 7% per year, like we grew in the past,
No, I agree with you, because even in some of the meetings that we've had at the American Chamber and other associations that I take part in, a recurring discussion comes to the point of lack of capable persons, and that is one of the general restrictions for growth in Brazil. Just can't grow because you don't have enough people. If we look at the market side, from the consumer level, consumption in Brazil is still growing. There are sectors in Brazil that are growing strongly, but some of these companies can't grow without, because, like you said, they can't find the people to put in the positions.
Yes, it's true. It's true. This is one of the sectors that mostly grows at this moment and hire more people in different levels.
Now, when you mention the personal skills, and we look to the market, what is the market looking for when they're sourcing candidates? What type of person on this personal skill side are you really looking for? What does a person have to make of it?
Yeah, it's. I would say that we are searching now people able to criticize in a good way the status quo, propose new ways of doing, the same task, the same job. We try to find creative people in order to propose these innovations. We need people nowadays much more with interpersonal skills, ability to influence and to lead people in this movement of renewing the company, renewing the process, renewing the company, renewing the way they do, looking for better productivity. And I say that at the same time, we need people able to work in a strategic way, but at the same time, very hands-on. Because we need people to train the teams, new people. We need people able to go to the details, to review process. So we have we need multifunctional people for this period of time.
That's a big challenge.
Yes, it's always a big challenge.
No, but really, and I think obviously that type of person doesn't necessarily come right out of school that way. I think you get back to experience with the points that you touched on, leadership. Some of these abilities a person obviously can have, can learn. But that's a learning process, and we see that many executives really can't do that. They don't have the interpersonal relationship side down. That's unfortunate.
Yes, when you're searching or selecting executives, of course the technical skills are not the most important, because when you take someone with 20, 25 years career, of course the personal skills are much more important, because they will be the example inside of a company. That's why the personal skills are so important.
Now, is age a factor today in Brazil? The age of the person, the age of the executive?
Sorry, Tom?
Is age a factor? Is there an age limit for somebody to get to at an executive level? Do you see a demand now for more senior persons? So there was a time that senior level persons were difficult to. There was less demand. Do you see the market coming back towards the more senior executives?
Yes, I would say before the crisis, the market was searching for young people, but after the crisis, the companies changed their minds, and I would say that people with more experience have been more valorized at this moment. And which is very positive in my opinion, is with the fact we have this small unemployed rate, people with more than 50, 55 years old are being considered to the selection process, which what in my opinion is very, very positive, because we find people with experience, we find people in this age with still with lots of energy and people that want to work 10, 15 years more.
Is that the same in terms of gender? So we're talking about age, and you also mentioned his and her, or he and she. Are there more women executives coming into the market?
Yes, it's interesting that in some areas we see, considering young people, in some areas we see much more women now than men. I can mention some areas as marketing, human resources, legal. We find much more women, which is very positive too, and they are growing inside of the companies, and even more we see them occupying managerial positions, and we see now women occupying CEO positions, which is very positive too.
Now, that is because, not too many years ago, it was almost impossible to find a woman at the CEO level here. There were very, very few.
Yes.
Well, those are all good changes.
Yes, this is a good change, indeed.
So that opens your market more from what you're doing?
Sorry, Tom?
It opens your market. You have more possibilities and more people to interview.
Yes. I say that women, being a woman is much more difficult than being a man, because they have much more responsibilities comparing to us. So I really appreciate what they are doing in their professional lives, because they are really growing, occupying much more space, and gaining much more importance inside of the companies.
I agree. Last year, in my interviews, I think I had the opportunity of interviewing 10 different female executives, all of them in the United States, many of them top level. It was very strong professionals, and many of them, several of them have now demonstrated interest, and this has been part of our interviewing, is how this market for the female executive is developing in Brazil. So I can see that as an interest too from a training and the corporate development side. Because when we compare specifically U.S. companies and to maybe some Brazilian companies, there's room for corporate training and development along that line.
Yes.
Now, I see also from your site, you also do coaching and you do development as well. So it's not only recruitment and selection. So you do act as a consultancy for companies.
Yes, this is one of our activities, and we are trying to grow this area inside of exec as much as possible because because we believe in a long-term relationship with our clients, and to keep this long-term, we believe we must recruit and help our clients to develop their executives. So yes, we are working a lot on human development.
Yeah, because as you just mentioned, in terms, sometimes the cost of helping to retain the professional obviously can be less, but the rewards can be much, much greater.
Yes, and here in Brazil there is a characteristic of placing young people in managerial positions very, very soon. And of course they have potential, they show abilities, but they still don't have the appropriate experience, especially to lead people. That's why coaching is becoming every time more important, because we help these executives to develop abilities, especially to lead teams and develop people.
Yeah, that's the key element is teamwork. Sometimes it's easily said, but very difficult to obtain. And many times I use the example, and we get you talking about the World Cup. Many times I compare the Brazilian culture and the U.S. culture, where the Brazilian culture is to the Brazilian football, to soccer, where many times what we see is within a team, it's the individual who sometimes has the highest value. It's the guy who makes the goal, who literally makes the money. And everybody else is sort of a co-participant. When I look at American football and use that as the same comparison, I see something different. Obviously, the person who makes the goal or the group of persons making the goal generally too make more money, but you have a stronger strategic outlook towards a team in terms of American football than you have in soccer. Here it tends to be more tactical. Whoever has a personal ability is always valued, and it's not really the team that wins. It's the name of a player who wins. Do you feel that's a fair statement on my part?
Yeah, this is a very good comparison.
So how do you work that in companies? Because I see that in companies. It's somebody who, he may reach all of the sales, he gets the biggest customer, he's hit all of the marks, but he can't work with the rest of the group.
Yeah. Every time working with other people, other areas, different nationalities, this is every time more important to an executive, because it's clear that it's impossible to deliver good results by him or herself. Otherwise, if you are in a very technical position, but when you reach a managerial position, you really need to understand how to work with other people. That's why this kind of job for us is more important. How to build alliances inside of a company to deliver the best results.
That's the point. But I also see, and I agree with everything that you said, that many corporations still reward the executives based on the bottom line results. And again, in the very short term, we still see many executives working, quarter by quarter. He's working for the results this quarter, for the next quarter, and sometimes overlook the strategy of looking further down the line.
This is a huge problem for most of the organizations nowadays. Sometimes it's not quarter by quarter, it's month by month or day by day, depends on the sector. Yes, and it's a big problem because the executives can't have the opportunity to plan the future of their areas, of their people, and most of the time for the organization. So this is a problem, Tom, a very big one.
Now, talking about Ezek and what you've done, you started your company also in 2009. You've grown, and as we've known each other, I've seen that you've made what I consider a strategic decision to come to Campinas. You've set up an office here. You're looking at this area. And for our audience, when we look out at Brazil, is Campinas still, is there still a lot of growth? Do you see a lot of growth in this region? Because most foreigners that I meet, they don't even know anything about Campinas. They've never heard of it.
Yeah, I am suspected to talk about Campinas because I can say that I was the first executive of the recruitment industry in Brazil to bring a multinational company to Campinas to work in the sector. I like Campinas pretty much, and I believe in its potential a lot. And Campinas is very close to São Paulo, just about 100 kilometers. But I would say the region is very, the profile of the region is very different comparing to São Paulo. There is no space in São Paulo to place new industries. So Campinas became the industrial spot of São Paulo state. The industry is very strong in Campinas, and the region is receiving lots of investments, and even more need to recruit people in different levels. That's why our presence in Campinas for some years.
Yeah, I noticed. I just received some statistics from obviously looking at the U.S. market and considering what are the fastest growing industries in the U.S. looking towards 2014. And the list includes technology, healthcare, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, financial services, software, energy, consumer products, business and professional services, and internet and e-commerce. And when I saw that, and I compare that to the region of Campinas, we have all of these industries here. So, and that's my thought. If the U.S. starts to to grow again. If Europe starts growing again, all of these different industries are in the area, and certainly they'll be growing as well.
Mm-hmm. You mean in Brazil or in Campinas?
Not in Brazil. In Brazil, but specifically Campinas, because we have all these. The high-tech companies are here. When you're talking pharmaceuticals, they're here. You mentioned manufacturing of all shades and types are here. Even financial services. Campinas is becoming a financial and service center.
Yes, Campinas has this characteristic of having companies of different sectors, which is very, very nice. And the infrastructure of the city and the region is a top infrastructure comparing to other areas of Brazil. That's why companies are very interested in going to Campinas. Not only because of the infrastructure, but of the amount and the importance of the universities of the region, which form very good people to fulfill the positions.
Mm-hmm. But also, do you see to relocate an executive from another part of Brazil to ask them to come to Campinas, is it easier than to send an executive to Manaus, let's say?
Yes. We deal with people from different regions of Brazil, and Campinas is how can I say it's one of the top regions that people considering nowadays to live and work, especially because it's very close to São Paulo, which is the biggest center in Brazil. So if you need to go to São Paulo, it takes just 1 hour. Of course, depending on the traffic jam in São Paulo, but which is terrible. But it's very close to São Paulo. It's possible to go to São Paulo in the morning and come back by the end of the day.
Right.
And we feel that most of the executives still want to be close to São Paulo, because São Paulo still means the best opportunities. That's why Campinas is good at the same time, because it's very close to, and at the same time it's becoming a very attractive region in São Paulo and in Brazil.
That's true. Well, you're in both of the right places, in São Paulo and Campinas.
Yes. And I go to Campinas almost every week to be close to our office there and to our clients. And I like pretty much to be there because the region is nice, people is nice, they are at the same time very professional, and at the same time very nice to deal with. Very different comparing to the way people act in São Paulo.
Well, I have to agree with you there too, and that's why I'm here. So, well, Rodrigo, we're coming to the end of our time, and I want to thank you then for sharing not only your time but also your information with our audience. And hope to see you again here shortly in Campinas. Okay. Okay, I appreciate very much this opportunity, Tom, and thank you very much. And success for us during this year in Brazil and in Campinas. Okay, thank you. And I also want to thank our global audience for taking part in today's program, and remind everyone that today's program was brought to us by Focus MI Marketing Intelligence. And Focus MI specializes in market research in the ever-growing agribusiness sector and also the heavy earth-moving equipment market of Brazil. So more information about Focus MI, you can check their site, which is focusmi.com. And by Spin Tours, that's business tourism by Eliana Souza, and she's the specialist in inbound visits to Brazil by high-profile and C-level business executives. You can find more about Spin Tours at spintours.com.br. And also like to invite you to visit our newly updated website, talktobrazil.com, and follow the links to other topics of business news. The Talk to Brazil Business Directory, where you'll find competent professional service providers in Brazil, and also today's interview with Rodrigo Forte, and links to his LinkedIn profile, and the exec website, which is www.exec.com.br. And remember, you can also always download all Talk to Brazil interviews on iTunes and Stitcher. So with your suggestions or comments, you can send those to me. It's tom@talktobrazil.com, or find me on Twitter, where our handle is also Talk to Brazil. LinkedIn, you can join the Talk to Brazil group and follow our discussions. So remember, when you talk to Tom, you talk to Brazil and the world. This is Tom Reaoch, live on LA Talk Radio, Los Angeles, California. Goodbye, and hope to have you here again next week.
You're listening to Talk to Brazil with Tom Reaoch, right here on LA Talk Radio.